Hey guys, how's everybody doing? Well, a while back I had a request to do a listing of all the vehicles that I've owned on one of these Let's Talk About segments. So I thought we'd go ahead and do that. Took some time and went back into memory banks and tried to remember all the cars and trucks I've ever had. And I'm sure I'm going to forget some, but here's the page. So we'll go through these without further ado. I'm going to read them off to you, and they're going to be roughly in chronological order, but I've kind of mixed it up a little bit, so there's be some surprises in there that you guys didn't know about. Now, the first car I ever had when I first started driving, when I got my driver's license in 1987, was this car right back behind me. Now, it's not that actual car, but it was a 1971 Chevy Impala Sport Coupe. And there's a difference in an Impala Sport Coupe and just an Impala Coupe, because the roof line, if you see this car back here, wherever it's at, you notice that, I can't do that, you notice that the roof line on that car is sloped and it has a triangular side rear window on it. That's a sports coupe. And so there was a difference in them. And this car, that was my grandparents' car that was passed down to me. They had passed away, both of them had passed away. A few years before that, and that car was just kind of floating around. My brother had done his best to destroy it and burnt the engine up in it. It originally had a 400 small block in it, and it started giving trouble before they ever stopped driving it. It would randomly start to overheat and things like that. They had a hard time keeping that car cool in the summertime. And it was just a basic Impala. It wasn't anything real special about it. It was gold and had a white top on it, painted white top on it. It was a pretty car back then. And they had to buy that car. They had a really bad accident in El Paso in mid to late 1970. They got T-boned. They had a Ford Galaxy some year, late 60s, mid 60s Ford Galaxy, and they got T-boned really bad. Put them in the hospital for I don't know how long. So when they finally recuperated, they had to have a car, so they bought that one. So that's the way that car came to me, and they had to rebuild an engine and put in. They put a 350 back in it, and I drove it hard, and I never wrecked it or did anything like that. But I just really, didn't take that good care of it as a kid. But I kept that car for quite a while, actually. For me, 6 or 7 years. As you'll see back through here, I had to go back to driving it a couple times, but the rest of these, I'm just going to kind of be, in the interest of time and space, I'm going to just give you just a little quick little opinions if they're warranted. Next car I had was an 81 Corolla, Toyota Corolla SR5 liftback. It was an ugly brown car, but it ran great. I drove that car a pretty good bit, drove it in high school. I drove it almost to the graduation time, but my dad was getting into, after he retired, was getting into buying and selling some used cars, and they were fixing wrecks, so I would be able to drive a few of those cars here and there. So some of these coming up here right now are some of those. So after I drove the Corolla for quite a while, I drove an 87 Chevy Spectrum, which is a little front-wheel drive clone of an I-Mark. That's a terrible car. You never see those anymore. And that car was underpowered, and it started having carburetor problems even when it was almost new. So that sucked. Then I drove an 84 Ford Bronco 2 four-wheel drive, and the thing sticks out about it. Uh-oh, it's a text message. The thing that sticks out about that one was it was slow and it was underpowered and drank a lot of gas. I didn't like it. Drove an 86 Toyota pickup, a two-wheel drive pickup like the one Lyle's got, except in extremely much better condition. It was a 5-speed, and that was a nice truck. I had that when I graduated in 1989. Then I went back to driving the Impala for a while, and then my dad got me an 86 Mustang 4-cylinder coupe with a 4-speed manual. Drove it, never had problems with it. Abused it, never broke. Then I went and got an 85 S10 pickup with a V6 and a 4-speed manual. Same deal, it ran good, never had any problems with it. I liked that truck. I had an 86 Honda Civic 4-door that my friend had partially wrecked, but I got it put back together and drove it. That was a nice little car. It was a 4-cylinder with a 5-speed. They were nice even back then. I had a 78. Oh yeah, I also had, I didn't write it down, I had that much later, the 86 Accord that you saw. It was alright. Had a 78 Grand Marquis 2-door with a 460 in it, which I wish I had that car now because those are getting kind of scarce and desirable. But it was a big car back then. It drank a whole lot of gas and it wasn't that fast either. Had a 1972 Demon with a slant 6 in it. It was just a plain Jane tan Demon. There was nothing special. Had a 1981 Dodge Omni 024. I've told you about that car. It kind of sucked. Then I went back to driving the Impala again for a while. And then my dad gave me a 1984 Pontiac Fiero 2M4. That was a 4-cylinder Fiero with a manual transmission, and I hated that car. I didn't drive it anymore than I had to. I drove it in college. I hated it. It was hard to shift. The clutch was stiff on it. The gas pedal was strange because like when you pushed on the gas pedal, like the gas pedal actually, like the top of it would go down first and then it would actually depress. It was really hard to drive. I hated that car. Then drove a 86 Buick Century 4-cylinder, just, nothing special. Leaked a lot of oil. Then drove a 84 Mazda 626, which I don't remember much about that car except that it was a nice car. I was impressed with it, even back then, that old. It wasn't old back then, but old as the car as it is now. Then drove an 85 Cadillac DeVille. That was a first front-wheel drive Cadillac with the 4100. And that car, we never had any problems with that car. We didn't keep it very long, but it drove good, and that engine was smooth, and it wasn't real fast. And then my parents cut me off on giving me cars to drive, so I went and bought a nearly brand new 1992 Isuzu pickup because a friend of mine had one, and she liked it a whole lot. And I liked mine. I drove and put about 50-something thousand miles on it. Just a plain little truck. It was nice. Then I traded in on a 93 Mustang GT. Y'all know the story about that. I should have never done that. And then I had a 1992 Chevy Cavalier 4-cylinder with automatic. That was a nice car. It was a repo, but it had head gasket problems. We put one head gasket on it, and it lasted a while and blew another one, but it never broke down. It never really overheated. Just the temperature gauge would fluctuate up and down, and the heat would go in and out of it. Then I had an 88 Mustang GT, a 90 Mustang LX, an 86 Mustang Coupe. You know about that. I had a 1984 Olds Cutlass Coupe, which had a blown up V6 in it when I got it. I swapped a V8 307 V8 in it. It's not hard to do on those. Drove for a pretty good while. I had a 1983 Cutlass Coupe with another blown up 231 V6 in it, which I'll put another V6 and got it running again. I had a 1985 Grand Prix. You guys never saw that one. That was my aunt's car that the tree fell on the trunk of it. It ran good. That's the engine that went in the 83 Cutlass. That's where it came from. Had an 87 Grand Prix. You saw that one. I had a 78 Malibu. You guys saw that one. Had a 79 Malibu. You guys saw that one. Had a 1970 Valiant a long time ago. You saw that little picture I showed you. That was the green one, first green one. Got it out of a junkyard with, guess what, a blown up slant 6 in it. Then I got a 72 Valiant from my friend, longtime friend of mine. We're still friends. He drove and nearly blew up, and then when I got it, it did blow up. That was another slant 6. Had a 1973 Plymouth Satellite Coupe with a 318 in it. That was a slow car, not performance. 92 Mustang GT, 89 GT, you saw that. The second 90 Mustang, that's the hatchback. I had a 1992 Chevy Lumina Euro sedan. I like that car. Those cars run good and they sound good. I'd like to have another one day. I had the 93 Silverado. I showed you that story about that one. I had a 1985 Celica. That's what I bought after, my mother bought it for me actually, after that Mustang got stolen. I had a ton of miles on it, never had a bit of trouble. Well, no, I take that back. I did have trouble out of that car. Lost the fuel pump on it. The rear end broke internally, and the clutch slave cylinder went out in it one day. But other than that, it was not bad. Had a 96 Honda Accord. How we doing? Pretty good. Looking at my time again. Drove that car a whole lot, never had a minute's trouble out of it. It was a 5-speed. Had a 2002 Pontiac That's a new one. Pontiac Bonneville SE that I got a real good deal on, and I had that car 2 days, and the front wheel bearing failed on it. So I fixed that, and then it was trouble-free, except that I always had air conditioning problems out of it, so I got rid of it. Piece of shit. Then I had a 87 Custom Cruiser. You guys saw that one. Had a 1989 C3500 dually. That was one I bought out of somebody's backyard down there in town. And that was a 454 with a turbo 400 transmission and a 373 rear gear in it. And that thing, you know, for being a dually, it was not very powerful. It ran good, it wasn't very powerful, and you could drive more than about 60 miles an hour because of the gear in it. Had a 1978 Suburban with a 454 gas, a 4-barrel 454 engine in it, and it was a 2-wheel drive actually. With a turbo 400, same deal. It had 410 gears in it. And it was a good low-speed total vehicle, but shit, you couldn't drive it on the road though. Had a 93 LeSabre I bought off eBay. Had to put a fuel pump in it. I got rid of it quick. It wasn't much of a car. Had a 96 F350 Power Stroke. You guys saw the video on that one. It had injector problems or something wrong with it. Clove put problems, so I didn't like it. Got rid of it. Had a 91 F250 diesel. You guys never saw that one. It was trouble-free the whole time I had it. Had a 93 F250 diesel. That was super truck. Wish I still had it. Stupidly sold it. Had a 1984 Dodge D150. I actually had 2 of them. I had the silver and two-tone silver with the 318 long wheelbase that you guys saw way back, and the one you never did see, which was a white one, short wheelbase, that donated its engine to the white Plymouth Valiant. Then a guy bought the rest of the truck from me. Had that 86 Dodge D250 that never would run right with a bad transmission. Had the 76 Opel Suzu, you guys saw that one. Had a 96 Silverado. I think you guys saw a little bit of that one way back there. That was a good truck. Had a 350 in it. Had a 2001 Elantra. That's the one that did all the videos on the timing belts and all that stuff. It was a good car. Had the 75 Duster. That was a rust bucket. Rusted from the top down because it was on the coast. Had the 66 Pontiac Catalina that I stupidly sold to my friend who dismembered it. Idiot. Had the 84 Dodge Aries. That was my grandmother's car. The other grandmother, after she stopped driving. Nice little car. Had the 86 Dodge 600 convertible, which never ran right because it had a burnt valve and a blown head gasket. Had the 71 Valiant. You saw a lot of that car. Had the 83 Dodge Ram. That was the brown one that I used when I moved with when I moved down here. With a 4-speed in it. Had the 2005 Accord, Honda Accord. Had the 2000 Honda Accord, which I didn't like that much at all. I had a 2003 Corolla that I drove lots of miles, and it had an oil leak the whole time I had it. And if I'd known any better, I could have got on the internet. May not have had internet at that point, but could have found out it's probably something simple that was leaking oil, something common. But that was a good car though. The only thing I liked about that car is the way the interior is, like the steering wheel, to get to keep from your feet being, you know, feet being up in your chin. To get you had to scoot the seat back, and the wheel was like too far away. Never did like the driving position in. Had that 84 Dodge 6. Yeah, making cars up as I go. 84 Pontiac 6000, the gray one that you guys saw. Had a. You never saw this one. I wish I still had this car. Once again, OCD selling compulsion got the best of me. Get this one. A 1958 Oldsmobile Super 88. That was a big, huge, black and white. It was black with a white top. Oldsmobile Sedan with a 371, and it had engine problems in it. So I bailed. So stupid. I shouldn't have done that. For a while, I drove a 96 Vw Jetta that I bought off Craigslist and fixed. Had a fender bender as a 4-cylinder with a 5-speed. And I liked that car. That, for being a European, I never had any problems out of it. Drove good. I love that door chime. A lot of people don't like those, but I liked it. Had a 97 Mazda Protege ran perfectly. That was a repo, no problems ever. Had the 299 Proteges, the red one and the black one. The black one was the one that I did the real quick strut swap on, and I got all these compliments about making it a quick video. And I thought that somebody was complaining. Nobody complained about that video. So I don't get it. I had the 2000 Protege. That was the only one of those cars that ever broke down on me. That was the one that lost the cam sensor. And then when I was doing that video out here about testing the cam sensor, some of these idiots always has to, you know, comment on YouTube stuff. Yeah, I hope you don't work on cars. I'm sure you don't. Anyway, so that was Smoking Joe. That was the one that smoked so bad. And that car's still going. Can you believe it? Let's see. I had an 87 Cutlass. I had two different 87 Cutlasses. I had a four-door that had, it was a repo that had a factory 307 in it with a four-barrel, which ran perfectly. That was a nice car to drive. Man, that was a nice car. Somebody bought that car from me and drove it all the way back to New Orleans. Had the second one was an 87 Cutlass coupe, two-door coupe Supreme, which has a 307, which was knocking, and it had somebody had taken the good front end clip off of it. It had the square lights back on it, rectangular, whatever, the old style header panel on it. So anyway, you know, with those G bodies, it seemed like it was either one of two different things. It either had a blown up transmission or it had a blown up engine in them. That's the only thing ever killed those things. Never saw a bad rear end in one of those. Had the 77 Caprice. You guys saw what did or did not happen with that one. Had a 1990 GMC extended cab truck that I bought cheap and put a transmission in. Had the 2006 Fusion. Had the 73 Dart Sport. Had the 73 Valiant. That's Uncle Phil's car now. Had the 73 Mercedes 220D. Had, oh, you guys never saw this one either. This was pre-YouTube. I had a 1990 Volvo 240 Sedan, which that car ran okay, but it had some problems when it sat a while. Man, that thing would spit and sputter and backfire a little bit, then it would straighten up and run. Had the 89 Volvo V70. Don't ever think I'll buy another one of those. Ever. Never. Had the 88 Volvo 740. Had a 1978 Cadillac Sedan DeVille with a 425 engine in it. We called that car the Cadillac. That was a long time ago. I had to remember that one. Had the 93 Chevy van. I caught on fire at the other house. Had this 91 Montero, which I hope goes away soon. Had 1983 Jeep Cj7. Had a 1981 Le Mans wagon, which ran like crap. Had a 1978 Le Mans coupe, which was a 231, which ran excellent, but had a bad transmission in it, or it went bad. Had the 1974 Valiant. Had a 1980 Cutlass Cruiser. That was that purple. Oops. Had that purple one that I showed you in the pictures with the 400 transplant in it. Had an 1980 Cutlass two-door coupe, which was a 260 with a TH250 transmission in it, which we drove that car out of the weeds and got it running, and it ran great. The only thing I ever had to do was put a fuel pump on it. Had, let's see, the 87 Grand Fury. I had an 86 Chrysler 5th Avenue, which ran better than that one, but it was kind of shabby. Had the 63 Oldsmobile. Had a 63. I had a 68 Fury 3. The 68 Valiant. 99, remember that 99 Regal I had that I hated? I still hate it. I would never have another one of those. I had a 1991, can't read my writing here. Oh yeah, 1991 Roadmaster, the wagon. Had the two Q45s in 98 and 2000. Had the 2005 Taurus. So you guys can count on those if you want to, if you can. And there's probably some I have disremembered or whatever, but by and large, I'll tell you, the foreign cars, I had a lot less problems out of the foreign cars than I had out of the domestics. I swapped a lot of GM 3.8 liter Buick engines, a lot of GM transmissions. Hardly ever had a Chevy engine blow up. Never had many Fords. Didn't have any trouble out of the Ford trucks. The Chevy trucks, with the Chevy to GMC, those you know, the 88 through the